Hello, everyone, and welcome to, finally, a new episode of Bxb'S Bits and Bobs. This one is episode 29, and it's a bit of a special one because today we've got me, your host, your editor-in-chief, your commander-in-chief. Let's go for commander-in-chief. I feel like a promotion. I'd be better than Trump. So my name's Ben. I'm here hosting this show. We've got Richard Worrell, reviews editor.
Evening.
Evening. Finally, showing up just in the nick of time. We've got Joel Summerfield, home counties editor.
Hello.
Home counties.
Yeah, I've been promoted several times through this. I started off as just Western counties.
Yep, home counties now. And that voice you may recognize, that is Mark. You may have heard him on our short-lived wrestling podcast, which I put on hiatus because wrestling got really awful. So we're kind of on the down low on that. But Mark, he's hanging out with Joel in person. Sorry about that, Joel. And you know, he's here today as a special guest voice. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, Mark's really reserved. He doesn't talk a lot. He's an introvert, you could say. Yeah, so you know, he's probably not going to say much. You're probably not going to hear him very much. You know, that might also just be Joel, the sound of Joel strangling him. You might also hear that. That's possible too. Yeah. So we have been away for about a month. I didn't do a bonus babble last week because there just wasn't that much, and I figured I wanted to save. Like, I want to talk about Nintendo Switch with you guys because you guys have got one, and I'm a recent convert to that platform, so we'll get into that a little later on. But yeah, let's have a little catch up in the last month. You know, we've all, looking at this list, we've all watched a lot of stuff because when you're a 30-something-year-old guy who has a full-time job, generally all you have time for after that job and family is to sit down and watch Netflix, and that's what we've all been doing. So Richard, what have you been watching on Netflix in the last month?
Well, now you put it like that, that puts a downer on my head.
just the reality of, you know, life. That's the way it is. So
yeah, okay, let's get into what I've been watching. Speaking of crap wrestling, I watched Glow this week,
it's so good,
which is actually good wrestling with women on a TV show. So that's good. Joel, I can see you've been watching that as well on the list.
And Mark, everybody's watched it, I think.
Has everyone watched it? I expect to hate it. I'm not sure why. But actually, really funny, respectful of wrestling, but also knows when to take the piss. Probably goes too far in some jokes, and that's why I love it. Really enjoyed it. What did you guys think?
It's got Alison Brie in it. It's going to be perfect.
Yeah,
a goddess of a woman who just is awesome in everything I've seen, and you know, she was brilliant in that.
Well, they knew what they were doing. They had her tits out in the first episode. So I was like, you know, they know what audience they're trying to capture. And then it's like, they'll hang on in the hopes that they'll see him again, and we never fucking did. So I'll never forget for that. You know, I was counting Alison Brie boobs appearance. We only got one. It was still worth it.
So worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah, it was. I watched it with my wife. It was really good. She really enjoyed it as well. The character Sam, I just absolutely loved.
Yeah, Sam's amazing.
Yeah, just absolutely brilliant the whole time. Just like, yeah, you know, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. We sort of watched a couple of episodes, and then it was so good we've actually just ended up binge watching the whole thing to the end.
I enjoyed the fact about the binge watching. The fact it was only half an hour, 25 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah.
When most TV shows are like, oh no, we've got to be really long. All TV shows got to be like an hour. But I'm really enjoying the throwback to the 25 minutes, half an hour episode. It feels quicker. It feels like the story moves along. It feels like things actually happen without being dragged out for, let's all sit around a dinner table and watch us eating a meal for one fucking episode, Breaking Bad. And, you know.
Yeah. If you think that's bad, you should check out Twin Peaks' new season. Oh my God. I think I watched a static camera shot of a bar for about 20 minutes. Just because, you know, you're that director, Fincher. No, yeah, help me out. Twin Peaks director. Anyone?
Lynch.
Anyone? Lynch. Just because you're Lynch doesn't mean you can just make shit and call it gold. That's not how it works. But anyway, I binge watched something I didn't put on the list actually, but it's a bit of a Marmite show, and I wonder how many of you guys have actually seen it. But I absolutely adore it. Wet Hot American Summer season 2. I watched the whole thing in one go with the wife. Have you guys ever watched any of the film or the first TV series or anything for Wet Hot American Summer?
Introduced me to it. There's a second season.
Yes.
I didn't know this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 years later.
I thought that was the old one.
No, well, it's confusing, the timeline. Like, the film is set at this one point. The first season is set just prior to the point of the film, and then the second season is set 10 years after the film.
Oh shit! Right, yeah, the whole timeline thing. Well, because the actors are like 20 years older than they're supposed to be acting, it gets very confusing. I'll have to watch that then.
Yeah, it continues the absurdist, chaotic, barely legible comedy thing about it. It is just the craziest. I won't spoil it, but one character they couldn't get back right for the show, so they recast him. And the explanation as to why he looks different is he had a nose job in the intervening 10 years, and nobody even acknowledges that it's a completely different guy. And it's really funny. It's really funny. There's just so much of that, and then of course we get more of the talking can.
Yes.
Which just, what is this? It's Mark, Joel, have neither of you seen any Wet Hot American Summer?
No, not at all.
You're hanging out, right? Like the next few days, yeah? Get the beers in, get the junk food in, watch the movie, then season 1, and then season 2. Because even though that's not the chronological order, it makes it funnier that it's all fucked up in the ordering. And I highly recommend it. Just give yourself over to the complete bonkers world. And it's full of big celebrity actors and like comedic actors that you'll now know who have become famous. Because when they made the first film, they made it before they were anybody's. And then the fact that they went back and made the first series, which is set before the film, like 20 years later, and then they're acting like they're younger than they are in the film, it is completely insane. And yet it's wonderful. Like, it's joyous.
But Ben, our time is going to be taken up with completing Borderlands for the 27th time.
You won't regret it. It's my recommendation to you as you're broing out over the next few days. Like, that is my top recommendation. It's so mental. It's so much fun.
Seconded. It is funny.
Yeah, it's really, really good. What else we done? You guys saw Dunkirk? I didn't, because I can't stand Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
What?
What? 5 man, all the way.
What's wrong with you people?
High fives. He's a self-indulgent director. He doesn't know how to treat actors and get any performances out of them.
And it's overrated and
so overrated.
Yeah, just goes head up his own arse a little bit.
Yeah. I've heard it's good, though. I've heard it's good.
I would challenge both of you to actually. This is very different to anything I've seen that he's done before. This is very, very powerful. It's very artistic. There's not much dialogue in the film at all. It's very visual. Feels. So I went to see it. I splashed out big style, and I went to the BFI IMAX in London, which is like the best cinema I know of in the UK. I think it's the biggest screen or the second biggest screen in the UK. And it was a proper 70mm showing of the film. It was freaking incredible. Like, it was just so immersive. Some of the scenes, some of the dogfighting scenes and things were just amazing to watch. I was just engrossed from start to finish. I loved it. And it felt kind of, as a war film, it wasn't very, I wouldn't say it was very dramatic. It was very serious and just felt very real, the whole thing. Like, yeah, I thought it was incredible. I rarely come out of the cinema and think, wow, that's a film I'd love to go and see kind of again. But yeah, definitely left with that kind of feeling. I don't know if Richard felt any different.
I'd want to see it again. The things that I took away from it, one, the soundtrack, which just starts off like this ticking watch and just ratchets up for the entire movie, building suspense and tension. It never lets go. It's just constant. The soundtrack is just incredible for that. The artistic direction, everything in this movie is real. You won't see like CGI dogfights or any of that shit. These are real Spitfires in the air. And because of that, there's probably less on screen, but because it's real, it just has way more impact than any of these fancy modern shots that you'd have with cameras rotating around a plane or going inside the cockpit and zooming out again. You don't get any of that nonsense. You just get real shots, and it just feels so incredible, unlike anything that you've seen in contemporary cinema. And just character-wise, the way that everything feels quite subdued and sort of matter-of-fact. Everyone's going about what they need to do, and it doesn't feel overacted, or it doesn't feel cold, which is a common perception of Nolan films. It has that balance right in the middle. It's as strong as I can remember a film being without being sort of brash and over the top. I was really impressed.
This is why I am kind of interested to see it, because it sounds almost like Nolan's taken on a bunch of notes about how he can't get performances out of actors, and therefore he's not asking them to give any performances. which I think is
that's
like
one way around it.
Back. Yeah, that's. I mean, Mark, as an actor, where do you come out, Christopher Nolan?
I don't really like anything he's done. Like, can't really say anything about performances because of the performances that he gets out in the films. I mean, I enjoyed Leo's in Inception. I didn't think the acting was awful in Inception. I thought the acting in the Dark Knight trilogy was painful in places. Like Michael Caine in the last film was just agonizing to watch. Don't know. I haven't really thought of him as a director like that, in all honesty.
I can't. I mean, one of my examples of it is like the 2-note performance from McConaughey in Interstellar. It's just like he's either stoic or crying throughout that entire film, and it's just like, is that acting? I don't. Mark, is it? I don't know. I was also no. Anyway, should we move on?
This is a different film.
It's in space a lot less.
It's quite a lot different to being in space.
Yeah.
But
just one last point.
In half.
You don't see any Nazis in it. It's really weird. Like from beginning to end, you don't see any bad guys. It's just all Allied soldiers. And I just thought that's a really weird. It didn't really hit me till the end, and I thought, hang on, I didn't see anybody in this apart from like our own guys suffering forever. And
that sounds fun. I'm going to check that out this weekend. Love it. I think I'll be honest. The temptation here is for us four to catch up and chat like a bunch of mates and call it a podcast for the next hour. But we should probably do what this podcast is ostensibly meant to do, which is to talk about video games, because we've got a whole shit ton of those as well. Because I ironically titled this episode "The Summer Drought" because I don't really think that happens anymore. It would seem. I mean, it slows down a little bit in the AAA space, but I've played a shit ton of games in the last month or so. So I mean, like, I think we should probably get into games. So if anybody, unless anybody has anything else they really wanted to, I mean, I know we've got a bunch of stuff on this list, and I want to just a quick shout out to the Ready Player One trailer, which blew me away from San Diego Comic-Con, and I can't wait for that film next year because it's game related, so that's not my excuse. But unless anybody else wants to catch up.
Can I just say one thing about the San Diego Comic-Con trailers? Yeah. I still want to say it. I said it before we started. Justice League looks shit. Something about that trailer upset me. We're looking at it. It looked like cheap CGI, cheap performances. It just looked like someone defecated into a frying pan and then served it up on a plate.
Yep. Ain't arguing with that. I thought it looked real bad. Yeah, real bad. Right, Richard, have you had the pleasure yet? The pleasure of
I had it just now.
I'm having it right now.
We need to leave you guys alone.
Of experiencing the new Xbox dashboard in the Alpha Ring for preview members right now.
No, I have not. It's updated twice this week, and I can't see what's changed. So you've obviously got something different to me. You've got the proper spangly new one that you.
I'm not just Alpha. I'm Alpha Extra. Like I am in the Bill Gates best friend ring. Oh yeah, you know it. No, I don't know why I've got it. I always seem to get them first. I do a lot of feedback in the Insider app and actually do give them feedback. So maybe it's something to do with that. But it's shit. Like it's really fucking awful. I mean, have you guys seen video at least of it or anything? Like, because man, it's a bad use of space. It looks good. What are you talking about? How?
It looks good to me.
It's like they've just like, I understand why they've done it. It's to do with the speed of the dashboard, the operating system on the Xbox One, and they're trying to improve the snappiness, the responsiveness by trying to show less information up front by hiding things behind multiple button presses. You don't have to try and load everything in from the very start. So that makes
a sort of overview of what they've changed then, because I haven't looked in detail, but the snap guide to the left of the screen that comes in and it's all filtered in a different way now, right?
Yeah, it's instead of the top to bottom tabs, it's left to right. So you now move through the tabs horizontally instead of vertically. And then they've just buried things. It basically has like this tab view now where you open something and it will layer it over, and then they open it and layer like that. And in addition to that, the big difference is the home screen is now customizable. So you can do this thing where you can have your pins, you can have anything on it you want. I can go to my friends list and pin you three guys. I can pin you all individually, your gamer tags, to my home screen, so I can see what you've been playing, what your most recent achievements are, and I can look at that if I want, and I can have my pins on there. I can have a game page on there for a game I'm really following and I'm playing a lot at the moment. So you can do all kinds of stuff like that. The community page has also been changed a lot, which now looks like a cluttered clusterfuck of confusing bullshit, which is brilliant. I know it's really early, and that's what they keep saying. It's early. They're going to tweak things. The main problem with the home screen is that first page you look at is such a poor use of the real estate. It's like the top third of the screen is just taken up with the title of the last thing you had on.
Yeah.
So it could be, it just says the game. It's not even a graphic for the game, or the app. And it's just so boring and uninspired. And then under that, you've got your three most recent open things. And then the next to that are 2 adverts. And that's basically the first screen you see. And then you page down to see the pin things I was mentioning and whatever else you've customized onto the home screen. And the guide is fine. The way the guide works is fine. It is quicker. It is snappier. It is more responsive. But it feels like everything is now behind 2 more button presses, obfuscated behind 2 more, directional or movement, around the screen. And I know, Joel, you work in IT and software and stuff. And I think I'll be really interested when you get hands on this as to your thoughts of it, because I think it's a step back. And it's the first time I've thought that, actually, since one of these dashboards has come out since release. I do feel like this is, maybe it's just really early. They're going to do loads of tweaks and they're going to make improvements. That's my fingers are crossed for that. But right now, it feels really poor, like really poor.
It was only a couple of months ago they refreshed it anyway, right? So I must admit, when I first saw in the press that they had a new one coming, it kind of blindsided me a bit as like, whoa, like the only thing I've not done is similar to Richard is I've read articles and headlines that state a new one's coming. I've just not looked at the detail of what it does or what it is.
It's a step towards this new Fluent Design OS thing they're doing across Windows 10 and Xbox and all the platforms. And it obviously moving towards how they're going to be using things on the One X and stuff like that. And I don't want to just harp on it now, but I figured, because Richard put it on the show notes, I thought maybe he'd actually experienced it. But I guess
no, I wanted to hear more about it because you've got it, so I was interested on
why you
thought it was shit.
Well, there you go.
They brought in what is it, like TV and snapping stuff as well? Have they brought back picture-in-picture or anything?
They keep saying they're going to, but they have not done that yet. Yeah, I'd like to have a proper picture-in-picture option as well. Something I can pick where it is on the screen and stuff like that. I've kind of missed snap mode a little bit. I did use it occasionally, and I think it's weird that you take out such an interesting feature that sets it apart from other consoles. But yeah, sadly they have done that. In other Xbox-related news, have any of you guys had a chance to check out the Creators Collection?
No.
Do you guys know what that is? Shall I tell you?
You can
tell you something about direct from the creators published games, isn't it? So no curation from it.
So they're about to shutter Idea Xbox on the 360, and this is kind of the replacement for that concept. The idea that anybody can put out a game using this program, and it won't have achievements and it can't be online, but you can basically release a game, charge what you want for it, make it free, and there'll be no curation. There'll be no Microsoft telling you that doesn't fit their current release schedule, their current ecosystem plans, and it will go up in this Creator Collection, which is a separate little header in the store and the store on Windows 10 as well. These are all universal apps, and there's about, I don't know, 10, 12 games like that up there right now. I've played a couple of the free ones, and there's some variety in there. Much if you remember the Idea Xbox program, you'll get everything from brilliantly fun games like what was that, One Figure Death Punch or something like that. Do you remember that?
Awesome game,
Idea Xbox game. And then you'll get put your controller between your legs. Here is a sexual orgasm stimulator game. Ben's played
that game a lot. You could tell
all the time. That's why I miss my 360.
You're playing it right now, right?
like I said, all the time. It's the only way to live. So yeah, I think that's cool that they're bringing back that kind of thing. It's a shame that it's not going to have achievements or multiplayer, but I can understand why, because that would affect their ecosystem more. and require more actual sort of hands-on monitoring from Microsoft themselves. And the whole point with this is them just sort of going, "Here, do what you want." I dig that. That's cool.
Yeah, same as their indie program back on 360 then, really.
Yeah, exactly the same. Oh, I kept calling it Idea Xbox then, didn't I? I apologize. That's the wrong name. It was Xbox Live Indie Games or something like that, wasn't it? Idea Xbox is the current independent games publishing arm on Xbox One. Too many stupid fucking names.
Ben, none of us wanted to correct you. We didn't want to make you look stupid on your own show. We thought that'd be really mean, so we just kept quiet at that point.
That's fine. That's fine. Because Mark, you had a total clue as to what the fuck I was talking about, didn't you? You knew exactly.
Actually, I did. So.
You had your phone in your hand. And you were texting Mike Ibarra at Xbox, going, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Phil Spencer, get round his house and sort him out."
Yeah, Billy,
He's
Phil.
not on message. He's not on fucking message. You were very angry. But that's kind of the news that I've got. Have you guys got anything you wanted to throw out from the last month? It has been quiet over the last few months, a few weeks for news. So I didn't really have a lot.
Nothing on video games, really. I've been away for most of it.
Well, I can tell you for a fact, video games may not matter soon because we might all be dead under a mushroom cloud. So there is that.
North Korea, right?
Oh, the who's got the biggest willy war that's going on between Trump and...
It's not Trump. Trump will never have the biggest willy. That much is very clear from his haircut.
I don't know. He is a big willy. Full stop.
True, he is like a talking phallus.
Move away from politics for, don't want to scare away your listeners.
Oh, we talk about politics on this podcast all the time, don't we, Richard? Let's be honest.
Always manages
all the time.
Conversation.
Wow, okay, I'm surprised.
Trump is at least mentioned at least once in every podcast, I think.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It usually comes up. It's hard to ignore the world, because video games are kind of like a reflection of the society we live in to a degree, aren't they? So, games trends change, in reflection to societal changes. So it's all connected. That's what I'm going to use as an excuse. Plus beer. So fuck you all.
I was going to say, you've gone up in the world in your classiness when we used to podcast together. Then we'd just be making fart and shit jokes. Now you're actually talking politics.
We just used to dramatically read fan fiction, which I think was the best thing we ever came up with as a bit. We should bring that back. I should look up video game fan fiction and we should do a dramatic reading, guys. That would be fun.
Well, as a famous actor, I'm quite happy to come in.
Exactly. As a movie star,
you
could do that shit, Mark. Yeah, damn right. I think we should talk about some of the games we've been playing. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's time for that? I know Richard should talk about this PSVR game that he went and sought it out. He sought it out himself and then really enjoyed it, which is always rewarding because half the time I do that, it's a pile of shit. So please tell us about Tiny Trax, Rich.
Tiny Trax is a racing game. It's kind of like a slot car racing Scalextrics simulator in PlayStation VR. The reason I was interested in it is because it's from the guys at Future Lab who did Velocity and Velocity 2X, which are two of my favorite PlayStation games of all time. Velocity 2X is just almost perfect as a video game. So seeing this new release from Future Lab, I was like, yep, I'm in. Didn't matter what it was. I just wanted to play it. It's quite a lot different to what they've done before. And as a VR game, your initial reaction is, well, I'm not sure why this needs to be in VR. As a Scalextrics game, it could quite easily work on a regular TV. But your initial view when you look down in a sort of VR perspective down on this track, it doesn't feel like much else that I've played in VR. VR usually is all about making the world feel bigger and you being immersed within that. This is much more about you feeling like a giant over this tiny track. Well, hence the name, I guess. And it's primarily a multiplayer game. It's a 4-player racer and it's got fairly simple controls. You've just got a button to switch between 2 different tracks. An accelerate button, you've got a boost, and you can turn round corners. Now, that's the crux of this game. Obviously, because it's on tracks, it's on rails, there is no real turning involved. But what Tiny Trax does, it makes you sort of lean into corners to get the best speed coming out of them. And this is done with a little radial measure. As you turn the corner, you've got to hold the analog stick in just the right way to get the radial filled up just enough. If you do it too much, then you stall. If you don't do it enough, then you're not going to get any benefit from the turn. And if you get it spot on, then that increases your boost for when you get out into the straight. So it's a really clever, simple system, quite hard to get to grips with, but once you master it, it feels really good. When I played it, it was incredibly hard to get anywhere in the single player stuff. I think they have patched it since, so that should be a bit more manageable. But where this game finds its home is in multiplayer online. And hopefully, if you've got any friends with VR, that is a challenge. But if you can manage to get anybody online to play this, it's a really fun little party game. Just just 3 minute races or something like that, and you just want to carry on going and going. It's really good fun. Joel, you got it as well, didn't you? I got you a copy.
Yeah, Richard finally gave me a copy. I haven't had a chance to try it though. That's the sad thing. You gave me the copy code about like a day and a half, I think, before I was going on holiday, and I haven't had a chance to try it yet. But yeah, I'm looking forward to when I get home in a week or so's time, giving it a try, and playing some multiplayer as well. If that's what you think the main part of the game is, we'll have to get together and give it a go.
Yeah,
you can probably beat me because you'll have like played it and practiced.
Yeah, I am good now.
Awesome, and I'll be rubbish.
I'll use that as a segue then, because from one racing game to another game involving cars. There you go. I've got a super early copy on Xbox One, though it's been out on other platforms, of Absolute Drift Zen Edition. I think that's on PS4. Richard, you may have seen this game. It's like a super stylish drifting game. It's not about like racing to win in this game. It's about, you in these like courses and in an open world environment as well, actually drifting to like score points and to complete challenges. The reason I mentioned it to you, Richard, it's got a soundtrack I think you'd absolutely adore, like some proper electronica, and it's also super chill. The whole aesthetic of it is this minimalist white world with like almost like Mirror's Edge red color kind of like spotted throughout it, and you're drifting through it and just trying to get the perfect line while listening to the banging tunes, and it's really chill. And yet when you get into that zen place with it, the name is apt, when you get there you feel like a fucking god, because it leaves these drifting marks, like the skid marks, for all four of your tires around the world as you go for quite a while, actually, before it starts to obviously deal with system load issues and like start to remove them, and it looks just so cool, and you can see everything, all the cool stuff you've done, and it's a little indie game. It's coming out on Xbox One towards the end of this month, but I've been really enjoying it so far. You'll have a full review for that around release. That's my plan for that, and that's really cool. Sadly, I'm playing another game right now pre-release that I'm not allowed to talk about until next Tuesday, so that'll have to be on the next podcast. I just thought I'd drop that in because get me, I'm cool. So there you go. Just thought I'd just leave that. Does anybody want to guess what game's out next week that I can't talk about?
Ben is.
You guys suck. Nobody wants to make me feel awesome. I really need that.
I was doing along the lines of Mr. Pumpkin's Adventure 2, but
you know what, Joel? You bring that up so often. I want some fucking content about that game now. You put yourself in that position.
I'm still holding it back for Richard's birthday.
No, I want some content. You drop yourself in it on two concurrent shows, I believe. So you need to get me a review.
Right. If there's enough audience demand, so if you're desperate to see some more content about Mr. Pumpkin and this adventure, just drop us a letter or an email or a comment. Or
Do you know what? I'm never gonna play this game.
I'm a member of staff.
I'm not a member of staff. I demand
or
it.
associated or close associate. Oh, I will do something about it.
Okay.
I'm never gonna play this game, but I'm gonna write fan fiction about it, and you'll have to read it out on the next podcast if you don't do a review. How about that?
It'd be really interesting, actually, just to see what people with the title "Mr. Pumpkin's Adventure." Now go
I feel like there's some real scope there. There's lots of options. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just looking at Joel's games, and I think the one thing they've got in common is the overuse of a colon. which I think is quite amusing that he's got 2 games which are colonified. Made that one up. Sounds plausible, doesn't it? So from pumpkins to boxes.
Yeah, this is this is a game called Unbox Newbies Adventure, and literally, it is a game about a world populated by cardboard boxes. I wish it's when I first started it, I was just like, really? Like, and you play the role of a cardboard box called Newbie. Even though the game asks you at the very start to input your name, you're still referred to throughout the entire game as Newbie, which made me kind of laugh. Yeah, you play it's kind of like a 3D platforming adventure game kind of thing. You visit worlds. It's a collectathon. You've got loads of stuff you need to collect. You go and speak to people. You get very simple missions, which are normally like get to the other side of the world in this amount of time, or complete these races or laps, or destroy all the enemies in this village in a certain time limit and things. Its most interesting mechanic is that you are this little box, right? And moving around, you literally roll yourself forward. So you push the joystick and you roll. But as you can imagine, it's like, rolling a 50p. You sort of, you jit and you jutter and you depending on which edge you land on and stuff. So the movement's kind of, at first I was just like, right, this is really strange. But it kind of grew on me as making kind of simple parts of the game are just a little bit more challenging, like rolling along a pier or something straight isn't necessarily so easy. And then to compensate for the frustration that you'd probably suffer from on some of the tighter platforming areas of the game, you have this ability to unbox, which is literally you imagine sort of a pass-to-parcel style box. You rip off your outer layer, and in doing so, it gives you a big jump boost. So it kind of acts like a double, triple, quadruple jump, and it's limited by your health. And this allows you to basically jump vast distances in the game. So you can cross huge oceans. And the worlds are pretty big. They're sort of large, sort of separate islands. There'll be like there's a snowy level where you are set up in the mountains, so and there's ski lifts that connect things and stuff. So if you fall down, you fall into the fog and you die. And there's beach one where you fall into the water and you die, and there's a kind of jungle one. And so they're some of the levels are quite vertical, they're quite horizontal, they're huge. There's lots to do. I found the game, I enjoyed the movement mechanics, and some of the missions you had to do with the tighter platforming sections, I actually found quite challenging and quite fun. What I did wear on me a bit was that kind of every level is cut from the same template. There are certain other boxes you go to talk to, and you always get the same missions. Like one will just give you free races to do. Another one will give you like, the village has been overtaken, so can you go in there and destroy the enemies for me? And yeah, it doesn't really develop. You get all of this from the start, every ability you have from the start, and it's literally just a collectathon. It doesn't really evolve. And then just kind of polish it off. There is a kind of hub world, but you never really need to go to it. And there's no kind of overarching plot or development of a plot that stitches the whole game together. So, I found it okay. I gave it a 3 out of 10. Sorry, a 3 out of 5. I found it quite fun. I found the challenging of the box movement and things, but ultimately the game is pretty average. Hence my kind of 3 out of 5 for it. So if you're into platforming collectathons, maybe you might want to take a look.
All the way through that, I'm thinking, did you play ukulele by mistake? Because
I haven't yet. That's on the agenda for. If you remember, I've been talking about my long-term childhood friend Mark, who, just to prove he's a real guy, is here. Hopefully, if I can fix up his PC tomorrow, we're going to be giving it a jam and trying it out for the first time. I've been holding it in reserve to.
A lot of that sounds very familiar. Characters that give you the same subquests, maps that just kind of repeat the same activities, a hub world that you don't really want to be in.
Wait, are we talking about Mass Effect Andromeda?
Retroactive burn.
So, yeah, no, to me, when I always see Banjo-Kazooie, to me, is always kind of the pinnacle of those type of games, where it had a good overarching narrative. The game developed via your moves, and sort of, so every new level you'd have a couple more moves to kind of learn and master and stuff. So although the gameplay, you didn't really, the missions were kind of similar, you'd always go something, do something, there was some development in the game, and the way the narrative played out along with the comedy aspect I thought was very well done. The whole game was kind of stitched together very well. yeah, whereas this doesn't have any of that. It's literally just from the start, you have A level. Here are your abilities, which are quite limited in a sense. You can roll around, you can jump, and occasionally you can pick up these like firework boxes and shoot fireworks, and that's about the crux of it. And then you just travel to these free worlds, and yeah, just complete the missions to get stamped. So one example is like, as you go through the free levels, you have to collect more stamps, obviously, to unlock the final boss fight in each level. But the stamps you collect in one level are not cumulative for the stamps you collect in another. So as you get to the final level, and it's like you need to collect sort of 16 stamps, going back and completing some missions that you missed in the first levels has no bearing on advancing you towards the boss in the last. You have to get 16 stamps in that last level, which is
bullshit. That's breaking the rules of collectathons.
Yeah. I was just like, because at first I completed enough missions there that I thought I would, rather than go look for these hidden stamps, I would go back and you know, go back and do some of the simpler missions that I'd missed. And then when I came back, I was like, like that's rubbish. Like so it has some kind of,
that's not great.
Like I say, it would have been better just to stage it as 3 separate levels that play out linearly, rather than trying. It's almost like they thought about doing a lot of these things, but just didn't have time to finish them off, or they cut them from the final game for various other reasons.
Talking of things that
got their character design as well. I mean, looking at this guy, he's basically Meat Boy, isn't he? Made out of cardboard.
Yeah, you can.
In the fact that they're square,
you can tart yourself up. You could like
and red with black eyes and a mouth. It's Meat Boy.
No, that's just the way you can. At first, you start off as a generic cardboard box, and in each world there are kind of costume places where you can go and change your color. You can slap some faces on, some hats, and funny other accessories and stuff. So I think if you're looking at the screenshots I take, I just ended up starting them up to look a bit like Meat Boy, and then carried on. So that's just what I did. But yeah, I thought I'd try the costumes out, kind of thinking that they may give you different properties or something like that, but they don't. They're just cosmetic items.
So talking of things that are like tightening up and taking on the town, Mark, have you been playing anything in the last couple of weeks?
You know what I've been playing? I've been playing like one game. Yeah, I've been hooked on Marvel Heroes Omega, which yesterday I just got my 4th character to level 60.
Oh, bloody hell, man. You're 4th.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus Christ. You're like a freemium addict at this point. Like, what is wrong with you? Saying that, we've all really enjoyed that game. Richard, have you given it a go yet?
No, I've got it downloaded.
Played it.
No.
It's a good laugh, man. It's a really good laugh.
It's really, really good fun. Give you loads and loads of hints and tips now. Like
Well, Mark's the expert now.
Like I've even started doing the crafting side of things in the game. Started crafting equipment and items.
I need to give it a go. It's on my Xbox. I'll give it a go soon.
Well, I feel like we can't talk about Marvel Heroes Omega again because we'll just come across like the shills that we are. So we probably should just move on from that. Before I talk about a couple more games that I've actually reviewed, I wanted to touch upon the 2 big indie releases from 2 of my favorite developers that have come out in the last few weeks, which was Pyre by Supergiant Games and Tacoma by the Fulbright Company. And I've played both of those extensively, not for review, just for fun, because I bought them and because I love those developers. Which ones would you like me to talk about first, boys?
Pyre.
Pyre. Joel said Pyre first, so I'm going to talk about Pyre.
Yeah, quickly.
I just felt like being annoying.
So Pyre, have any of you guys played any Pyre yet? Like, because I'm going to have some fun trying to explain what the fuck this game is.
No, but I have listened to a lot of other people's opinions on the game so far, so okay. I know a little bit about it.
Right. So Pyre is this absolutely gorgeous, visually sumptuous, beautiful. Oh, the colors just like, it's so bright, it's so wonderfully designed, it looks amazing visual novel that also has a fantasy invented sports game within it, and that's where you do most of the gameplay. So that's a visual novel with a game that plays a bit like Madden crossed with NBA. Okay, yeah, weird, yeah. Are we all like, well, that's a new genre? Because it's very strange. However, it's so well written. The characters are so intricate. The relationships, you really care about the visual novel side of things. You know, visual novels aren't inherently bad. They're just not much of a game. So I guess it's almost like the one developer was like at Supergiant, I have this amazing idea for like a visual novel. This is a fantastic idea. And the other developer was like, yeah, that's really good, Greg. However, we kind of need to put a game in there So how about this sports thing I was working on? Okay, let's try it. Turns out fucking amazing. This sports game is this like, it's really hard. It's like a bit like netball, which is so quintessentially English which is why I think most people aren't referring to it when they talk about it, because most of the outlets are American. And netball, so the idea that you can only move one player at a time, and they're the one holding the ball, right, or the orb. So there's like, oh, is it the other way around in netball?
That's the inverse.
The other way around in netball, but it still reminded me of netball. What sport does this? I don't think any actual sport maybe does this. I don't know. But it's the inverse of netball. You can tell I didn't play a lot of netball because guess what? I'm a boy, and when I grew up, only girls were allowed to play netball. So I didn't have a lot of actual.
It's like that. Only one person can move at a time.
No, it's future. You got to like flick it into the ball, haven't you?
I can't really. Yeah, but you only get one person moving.
Can you think of any real life sport analogs? I can't. Where you can only move with the ball.
It's a beauty as a sport, man.
Yeah, that's real life sport with flicking.
It's more legitimate than esports, I'll give you that. But you know, no. So it's so hard to describe. You need to watch videos. You need to just check it out, because you're passing the ball. You have to sort of dunk it in the opponent's sort of net portal thing. It has a point. They had to start with 100 points. You take the points off. It's kind of besides the point that the sport is actually a lot of fun, because the world is that they've been created here by Supergiant is so unique and engaging and brilliant at writing, and that's what takes me to Supergiant. Guess what? The music is fantastic, because they've never made a game that didn't sound brilliant. The only thing
is excellent.
Just mind blowing. The only downside I had about that, Richard, and I actually mentioned it in a bonus babble I did when I was talking about this game, is that the voiceover, you know, that you remember from Transistor and Bastion, the amazing voice acting.
Yeah.
There's all these fantastic characters in Pyre, and that got me so excited. I was like, oh my God, what are they going to do? Lots of different voices. Is it going to be like one guy doing, you know, multiple interpretations? No, it's just text. And that was a bit of a bummer. Yeah, it's still really well written, Richard. And then there's an announcer / godlike presence over the sport element, which is where the VO comes in. However, all of that dialogue between all the characters, it is just text on a screen. And that is a little bit
fine, but from Supergiant, that sounds wrong, doesn't it?
It's a bit upsetting. It is a little bit upsetting.
That's where they made their name with that style.
However, this game is such a massive departure from anything they've done before. I mean, it's so inventive, so creative, like so brave to try something so different. You know, you could have done a Bastion 2 like that and sold 5 million copies in 5 minutes. Like they could have done that, but they'll never do that, this developer. I get the impression they want to try and create new experiences. And that's what we have here with Pyre. It's completely unique. Nothing else exists like it. And purely for that reason, I would give it a 5 stars if I was reviewing it, because I love the bravery on display here. And it's just sort of awesome as well that it's amazingly well written, beautiful to look at, and the actual gameplay is fantastic. So win, 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 win on Pyre. And sadly, that brings me to Tacoma. As a fan of Gone Home, and a person who would have called that his game of the year that year at that released, I guess I got to say I'm pretty disappointed in Tacoma.
Oh no!
Which is hard for me to do. It's not quite as hard for me as it was with Mass Effect Andromeda to give that the 3 stars I gave it and to be critical about that. But Tacoma is a bit of a letdown. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's a space station. It's a sci-fi setting. I don't want to spoil the plot, because all of this game is the characters and the story, so there's nothing else really to it. You're moving around the space station, you're investigating what's happened on it. The characters are fine. I quite enjoyed finding out about the world. However, the gameplay conceit of you're basically interacting with these characters through this sort of augmented reality recording system that the AI has set up, so you can watch a scene play out in front of you, and you can rewind it and watch it from different angles and investigate different elements of it. I found after the first maybe once or twice doing that I just found it annoying. I'd rather just sit there and have just watched and got all the information I needed almost. And I guess you could just play the game like that, but I wanted to get the most out of it. So I was poking around and investigating and playing it back from multiple point of views and all this stuff. And
quick question.
Yeah.
Saying about the playing it back sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not like with they did with Deus Ex, where you went into the memories and you could watch the memories and you could edit the memory. Oh no, that was Deus Ex. It was
Remember Me.
Remember Me, yeah.
Remember Me. Not many people remember that game actually, but so good shout on Remember Me. Yeah. Kinda.
Batman as well though. There's a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah. In Batman VR, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, the detective mode in Batman VR. It sounds like a cross between Everyone's Gone to the Rapture and...
Yeah, it's kind of like Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, but they decided to make the interactivity a bit more interactive, I suppose, to give you more to do in these playback scenes. However, that's actually a fair shout. Tacoma has gone through a lot of development problems. It's a lot later being released than it should have been, and this game does feel like it's old already. It feels like, you know, the writing and the concepts that we're seeing in this, you know, what is ostensibly a walking simulator, it has already been played out and executed better by other games. And considering Gone Home was so revolutionary and groundbreaking and brave with everything it did in its storytelling and its setting, and it was so grounded, the fact that they've taken it to this sci-fi setting for Tacoma, and the do you know what, the ending is so pat, and it's such a happy ending. And I get that they're not trying to tell those kind of like heavy stories. They had such potential for it to be interesting, and then they just bottle it, and it's such a shame for me, the ending of this game, that you could have done something and said something that was just way more engaging. And I like the world, and again, the voice acting and the characterization is great, but it just felt a bit hollow and nowhere near as engaging as Gone Home. You know, I felt like they set the bar so high for themselves there. The fact that this game took so long to come out just kind of missed it for me. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame. Bit of a shame. I guess, you know, if you're going to set, you know, a game sci-fi setting, commit to that. Like, make it future. Give me some really sci-fi stuff, right? Because Gone Home works so well because it's just a suburban house in the 90s, right? So it's like we can all relate to that. We all understand what a house in the 90s is like, you know, and yet they make it feel uncomfortable and creepy, and everything, it feels uncertain. In Tacoma, everything feels just so like, oh, well, you know, I've been reading sci-fi and I know sci-fi for the last 20 years. This is exactly what I'd expect from sci-fi. Nothing surprised me. And that was, yeah, it was kind of a bummer, guys. I'm bummed about Tacoma. I mean,
like you say, especially from them, that's kind of that's them, isn't it? They put the flag in the ground for that genre, and for them to just phone that in, that's a pity.
I don't think they phoned it. I think they were trying stuff. I just don't think it hit as well this time. You know, it just felt like Gone Home innovated. This just feels like an also ran. Do you know what I mean? It's like we've now, you know, what was the walking sim that just came out? What Remains of Edith Finch?
Edith Finch, yeah.
Yeah, that was pushing things. That was doing some interesting stuff for the walking sim genre. And I feel like because this game has been so delayed, it's missed out on its moment. Yeah, difficult for them, you know, difficult.
Have you played What Remains of Edith Finch, out of curiosity?
I've basically watched the whole thing. I haven't got around to playing it yet.
Has anyone else played it? Have you played it, Richard?
No, I intend to, but no, not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Supposedly, don't play it on Xbox. It performs really, really badly. Do not get it on Xbox. Talking about performance, Tacoma has some real problems with performance on Xbox as well. Lots of problems people getting stuck on the main menu, like unable to actually play the game, which I think they're trying to fix at the moment. It didn't happen to me. However, I had loads of frame rate issues and really protracted load times in what should be a pretty... No, not a particularly system-intensive game. It just didn't feel optimized at all for the console, which was a bit of a shame. So, you know, I had some real frame rate issues as well. Like when you first load into a checkpoint or go back to a save point, everything goes down to like 3 or 4 FPS for about 20 seconds maybe, before it feels like it's trying to load the world in the background and struggling. So I just feel like it wasn't very well optimized, but... You know, who knows? Did they do it internal, their port? Did they go external? I didn't look into it that closely, but, you know, all these things can affect. You know, they've only got so many people. It's a very small team, I guess, at Fulbright.
Well, it's a common theme, though. I tend to find that with games you're getting, they launch these days with performance problems that, you know, they tend to kind of patch out within the first month or two, or at least address most of them. But it's a kind of disappointing trend. So I'd say it's now becoming, you know,
I'm way more forgiving of it in a Fulbright company is like a dozen people. You know, Pyre didn't have performance issues, but to give you an example, that's like, again, you know, 12 people, something like that. Very small teams. It's when games like Prey, which has only just been fixed properly on PS4, you know, that's a AAA game from a massive developer and publisher. When that stuff don't run right for a protracted amount of time, what the fuck is wrong? You know, like sort out your pipeline, peeps. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that you release these games in these states, you know? So, yeah, It's yeah, it's interesting. Who wants to talk about another game? Because I need a rest. You can, Joel.
Yeah. What do you want me to talk about? I can talk about.
Tell me about Batman.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about Batman, because we kind of sort of touched on it a slight bit with the sort of some of the mechanics in Tacoma. So after the last podcast where Richard told me, I'm not sure if that was on air or off air, but Richard basically said, if you want to see a real visual masterpiece in VR, well, he didn't say masterpiece. I think he described it as the best looking VR game currently on PSVR. Go get Batman Arkham VR. So lucky for me, Sony instantly heard Richard and decided to put a sale on PSN. Batman Arkham VR. So I picked myself up a copy, and yeah, it's kind of I found it a very kind of interesting and immersive experience. Actually, the game's quite simple. There's no sort of, at first I thought, like, excellent, this is going to be the free flow combat system in VR. I mean, this is going to be absolutely fucking excellent. I'm going to be sat in it. I'm going to be bursting into sweat, and I'm going to be collapsing on the floor in like exhaustion after 10 minutes of getting in there. But it's nothing like that, actually. It plays much more on the kind of detective sort of side of the game that sees you sort of going between various locations, trying to unravel a mystery, look for clues, and you get you recreate these virtual scenes, and you've got to fast forward and rewind through them to sort of pick out key points and moments where certain events happen and things. And yeah, I found it really quite interesting. The bit that really stuck mostly with me in the game is that at certain points in the game you get you can see your own reflection in your Batman literally staring back at his mirror, and I'm sitting there just like tilting my head left, tilting my head right, kind of like looking and thinking, I'm Batman, like yeah, like it was really brilliant. The game genuinely looks fantastic as well. It looked really good. There's a part where you're sort of standing on the top of a very tall building. You overlooking Gotham City. You can see sort of loads of subtle bits and detail around and things, and even some of the inside bits, so you can sort of interact with you're in a morgue at one point and pulling out body trays. It's just really, you have to use the move controllers in this. And there's certain bits also where there are broken objects and you have to pick up the pieces and reconstruct them in this kind of 3D scene. Yeah, I found it really quite fun and different and interesting. I mean, I think I'm still in that VR honeymoon period, so I'm still enjoying a lot of these experiences and perhaps not as critical as I should be, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
oh man, it's cool.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. The bit that really hit me in that was quite early on, is when you're sort of looking through the eyes of a young Bruce Wayne, and when his parents get shot, and you're just a little kid peeking out from behind them. Spoiler, sorry. Yeah, when you're peeking out as a little child, that is terrifying. And yeah, it just really sells the scale of VR, doesn't it?
Richard, when you looked in the mirror as Bruce Wayne, did you go, "Shit, man, look at this hair"? Nothing. Oh, I've just killed him. That's it. You
have to reach out to put your arms in so your gloves come on and stuff. It's very well done. Like I really, as you're suiting up in the Batcave, basically, it was quite fun. You have to reach out and put your mask and kind of reach it back up to your face, put it on.
Can I just point out the professionalism of Joel there? Burned by Ben that fails miserably.
Oh, I think it worked.
Ben's just jealous he hasn't got a VR headset, so anything we say about VR, he's like, yeah, it's rubbish, it's crap.
I was going to say, though, is that the next thing you fuckers convinced me to buy after the Nintendo Switch? It's just like, you work your magics on me with that one, and I'm not regretting that. So I was just wondering if the next thing is PSVR. Yeah, I feel like it might be. No.
On a slight tangent as well, the other one I forgot, I didn't actually write in the list. The only other VR game I've played in the past couple of weeks has been I bought Battlefront as well in the PSN sale, even though I own it on the Xbox as well, mainly because I wanted to do the VR mission in that and give that a go. And that was pretty good as well. Like I must admit, it didn't kind of play out exactly how I was expecting, kind of like X-Wing VR, I guess, or TIE Fighter VR from the old PC days and stuff. It's not quite like that. It plays a bit arcadey and stuff, but there were still bits of moments in there that really got me as a kind of X-Wing pilot. Just sat in my look back and you can see your droid, And just playing with all the controls in the cockpit and things, just like flicking every button and switch. And so, most of them are actually tied into a specific, changes your sort of firing mode and things like that. It was really quite interesting to just sit and have a play.
Yeah, that is cool because all the controls are mapped to the buttons, right, on a regular controller. But yeah, that moment when you realise actually if you press buttons in the cockpit, they all work as well. It is amazing.
Did you manage to find the eject?
No, I've got the targeting computer out, and I was like, "Oh yes!" I like then trying to sort of move angle my head so I can like down it. That was really cool and stuff. So yeah, so far I think I'm really impressed. On a technology level, it's better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be it doesn't feel bottom of the range VR. I've played on a Vive headset before, and that. I felt, it was still slightly pixelated. I think that, VR will come into its own in a few years' time. Hopefully, if it's, if they can still gain enough traction to develop it and they can get higher resolution displays and more power to render more pixels, they'll be good. But yeah, this is, it's at times it feels like it's not really pixely. I think you can just pick out some of the individual colors that are making up pixels, but it's actually really good, for what it is at this kind of level. And if you go into it with that mindset that's what it's going to, it's not perfect VR. Don't go into it thinking you're going to see reality rendered in, by a computer and in these artificial scenes. You can tell it's a game still, but you will find yourself at times losing your sense of
grip with reality.
You become so immersed that several times I've taken playing Batman Arkham VR. I took the headset off at the end and realised I'd actually rotated 90 degrees in the room and I wasn't facing the TV anymore, pretty much, and things like that. It's you lose yourself in the game completely, and it is a type of immersion that I've not experienced on anything else.
So while Richard contemplates the voice in his head telling him to quit this chicken shit outfit and tell Ben to fuck off because he's an insulting prick, and Joel loses his
run out of comebacks about hair. I mean, it's so bottom of the barrel, isn't it? Come on.
And Joel loses his grip of reality.
Man, mate. I'm going to be.
Joel, you're losing your grip of reality due to VR. I feel like now is the time to talk about mental health issues in video games. Nothing better to talk about that than Richard. You've been playing Hellblade, haven't you? Which is all about a chick going fucking crazy.
It's fucking crazy as well. Yeah, I've been playing it quite a bit today as well. And the Lucid Sound headphones you've recently been pimping and got me to buy some.
Yes, I do indeed very well.
This is the best selling point for video game headphones I have tried yet. It actually leads on the title screen saying play this with headphones, and it makes a fucking difference because this is about a woman who's like proper mental. She's on her own.
Proper mental.
She's proper like psychotic.
Then mental, like real mental.
Yeah, and from the beginning, the whole thing is it's kind of a third person view. You're following her from a close, elevated viewpoint, just behind her shoulder. But you're just constantly hearing voices in her head, and it feels like you're like one of the voices. I think it's trying to put across you're just one of the many voices that are following her around. Maybe she's being influenced you, maybe she's literally being controlled by you. But it seems like forever, for the whole time you're playing, you hearing in 7.1 sound these cynical, snipey, spiteful voices telling her not to go that way. Maybe she should go that way. Oh, now she's done it. She can't get back out. What an idiot. She's so stupid. And just everything that you hear is constantly putting you down and putting this character down. And it makes you feel like you just want to pause and just have a break. And you think, well, shit, some people actually live with this. I think this was developed alongside mental health experts. And you can tell. I mean, it doesn't feel like a crass treatment of the subject at all. It feels quite respectful of the condition that many people go through, and it is terrifying. I mean, it's not just the voices; it's perception of the world. She'll see things in the world that maybe aren't there, maybe they are. Faces in waterfalls, in clouds, fire. That if she touches, she's physically hurt by it, but maybe it isn't real. and the voices at one point will tell you, if you start to acknowledge that this character, her perception of reality is perhaps warped, you have to acknowledge that yours might be as well. And you think, shit, this could happen to me as well. And it really nails how mental health can affect anybody. But stripping that stuff aside, just as a game, it really works as well. I mean, it's quite bare bones in terms of its combat system. Coming from Ninja Theory, obviously it's going to have swords and combat, right? But it is quite stripped back. There's a very simple set of moves. At first, it feels like it's maybe not enough. But then when it starts throwing multiple enemies at you, you realize that that simplicity is versatile enough to really give you some rewarding combat scenarios. And I'm really enjoying how that works, particularly because it's got a permadeath scenario in this. So if you die too many times, you've got like an infection in your hand, and every time you die, that infection goes further up your arm. If it reaches the brain, then your save game is gone. So there's a constant state of sort of fear, worry, concern, not just because of the setting, what the character is going through, but in a gameplay sense as well. Anything that you fuck up is going to have permanent consequences in this.
So just to clarify, the permadeath mode is not optional; it's part of the core game.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it sounds fascinating as a concept, like the whole game. Absolutely stunning. I mean, couple of questions. I mean, obviously this is one of the hot games people are talking about a lot right now. It's like a not a full price game though, isn't it? No, it's like 30 quid or something.
25 quid.
25 quid, and it's
yeah.
I bet it's about 8 hours, something like that. Is that right?
Something like that. And if you think a lot of AAA games aren't really much longer.
They look like Call of Duty, yeah. The Call of Duties are like what, 2 hours?
Six hours maybe on the outside for a Call of Duty. I mean that sounds like. All right, tell me this, Richie. I mean, you've described that. It sounds powerful, and as a video game person who talks about video games and stuff, I feel like I should play it because I think it's something I should add to my vocabulary. However, is it fun?
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's just not just harrowing and draining. It is actually fun.
Well, maybe we've got different definitions of fun.
I love feeling like my mind has been beaten with a sieve.
Well, if you'd asked me that question about Dunkirk earlier on, I would have found it odd. Dunkirk is not a fun movie, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
And in the sense that this offers you an experience that will be meaningful, will stick with you. Yeah, it's worth trying. I would struggle to describe it as fun. It is a fulfilling experience.
Okay, I get you. It's like maybe you wouldn't describe Gone Home as fun. You know, not all good games obviously are fun, but I think the difference between a film and a game is that with games people expect the fun maybe a bit more than they do with films necessarily. Well, but that just means the medium needs to evolve.
I think the trade-off, it has to have that sort of narrative resonance, the sort of vocabulary of what you see and what you hear has to work. But the games have that added element of needing to be interactive. And from an interactive perspective, it totally works. And it doesn't detract from what the game's main push is in giving you that experience of someone experiencing mental health trauma. And it really, really is worth trying out. I mean, if only because Ninja Theory deserve a break, don't they? After so many games that have been critically well received, but sort of commercially bombed.
What was the games they've done? Enslaved.
They did the DMC remake as well.
Yeah, DMC was very good. Yeah.
So yeah, they're a good studio. They've done some good stuff. But these tie-ins with major publishers, they always seem to come off worse. So this is one where they've pushed out pretty much on their own. They've tried to deliver a AAA experience at a cut price,
half the price that you'd normally
price.
Yeah.
And you would not know from playing it. If this was 40, 50 quid, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. Buy it.
Nice as well.
Yeah, I'm just watching a video now. What really kind of excites me is this is one thing I love about there are video games that are fun, but I think there are serious topic matters that can be tackled in a very unique way through video games, and when done well, they can really give people an insight and perspective into problems that are probably very impossible to describe through any other medium. And from what you've just said, Richard, that this sounds like it may actually do, tackle that topic of sort of voices in your head that kind of, I don't want to say it. I think, it sounds like something I need to go and play. Actually,
I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy that game now, basically just off what you just said, mate. To be honest, you've completely convinced me. I was a bit on the fence.
Yes.
The only other game that I can think of that really has dealt with mental health, but also fun, and it tricked you into being to thinking it was going to be something very different. If you guys remember Spec Ops: The Line.
Yes. Yeah, that was great.
That was Joel, Mark, did you ever experience Spec Ops: The Line?
Was that a serious approach on mental health issues, or was it just a?
It went Heart of Darkness on the shooter genre. It was pretty fascinating as a experimental type game. It was very, very clever with how it started off like a very generic military shooter, and then you sort of realize it dawns on that you are not the good guy as this goes along, and you are basically the villain of your own story. And it deals with like a descent into madness. Yeah, it's worth playing. Very, very cool game.
About Hellblade, is it just? I'm assuming is it PS4?
Yes,
it's PS4 and PC.
It's PS4 and PC. Got to fix my PC.
We've
all been convinced, Richard, off of what you just said. I think, yeah, basically, good job, man.
Yeah, it kind of seems to tackle two. It's given me two kind of thoughts really. Like Eternal Darkness. Did anyone ever play Eternal?
That game.
So
that was a bit more frivolous.
Serious take on mental health issues, but it was a very. That's still my most scary moment. The only time I think my heart stopped during a video game playing Eternal Darkness, where I'm sat there, and this is one of the insanity effects. I literally opened the menu and it's like save game, chose save game, and then just came up with a dialogue that said format memory card, and I was like, and it said yes or no, and I just selected what the hell? I selected no, and then it just says formatting memory card. This progress bar that starts going up, and like this is on the GameCube where I have one big memory card of all my save games, like all my other games for the GameCube, and literally my fucking heart stopped. I'll tell you, like, just the shit, and then it just flipped back out into the game, and I just like sat there in just like cold sweats, frozen, just like, like,
I think Eternal Darkness was great, but in terms of its treatment of mental health, that's the equivalent of a jump scare in a horror movie, right? I mean,
they did a brilliant one with a fly, where there was a fly on the inside of your screen.
Oh yeah.
This fly just crawl across. You're like.
Mark works really well in radio, that gag. Well done. So
the second point I was going to make, and I don't know if you'll quite get this, because this goes back to What Remains of Edith Finch, and there's one incredibly powerful moment in that where I'm going to spoil it a little bit. So if you're listening,
don't.
You don't want me to spoil it.
I think Richard wants to play it as well, so I think
dance.
I can't. All right, all right. I'll leave it.
Well, if Richard takes his if Richard takes his headphones off,
due to peer.
No. it's still quite new and stuff.
You've got a chance.
No, it's all right.
You could be saying anything about Richard, and he would not know. His headphones are off.
Hey guys, look, it's Wilson Fisk. Anyway,
no, I'm not gonna do it because to me it was one of the most powerful moments in the game actually, and if you talk about it,
you can put them on.
If I was to talk about it or describe it, I think it's better to experience fresh. If anyone wants to play the game, I'm not gonna. Yeah, all right, I will leave it. Let's move on.
I think we're gonna move on to a pretty big discussion point right now, and that's the Nintendo Switch. I got one. I've got a bunch of the games. I want to talk to you boys about it because I'm excited to talk about it. So Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon. I was in on the Splatfest, Rich. I hope you will catch up with me, though we didn't win. Very upsetting.
Catch up. I was Team Mayo, mate.
You disgusting freak! That's upsetting to hear. I can't believe you were Mayo. Is it because it's the colour of your skin? What's that about? I don't know.
Wait, you trying to say
I don't see colour.
Oh no! I've got a reddish beard. You can go with that, I suppose. But you don't see colour. Nicely done, Rich. Good burn there. I like that. What else? I also weirdly I reached out to the developer of TumbleSeed because he wrote this post on his website, basically talking about how badly the game had done and how badly it had been misunderstood. Richard, did you play TumbleSeed?
No.
I can't remember. You didn't, right?
No.
And this got slammed because this game is fucking hard. And it's almost like the people playing games on Switch don't think there should be hard games. So it got really critically panned. But it's fucking awesome. This game is so creative. I've never played a game like it.
I heard about this. I don't think it's too hard. The issue is that it's fine, and then it's into end game, like bullshit hard immediately. It doesn't build you up. So I think they've fixed that, though, haven't they?
Well, they've done some onboarding stuff, yeah. The difficulty is that the concept is you're lifting. Do you know how it works? I didn't really know anything about it before. I reached out to him and said, look, man, I'd like to play a game, give you some content for it because, like, this game sounds really cool. And frankly, your blog post was heartbreaking. You basically move this bar from the bottom of the screen up the screen using the left and right analog stick on your Switch, right? And as you move you have to move them in tandem because you're balancing a ball, your character, as it were, on the bar. So if you move the left stick a bit higher than the right stick, the ball will roll to the right. So the whole aim of the game is to move your character, your ball, your seed, up the screen. Mark didn't even jump on seed there. He's behaving. I'm impressed.
I giggled to myself.
Oh, okay. You have to move it. You have to move it up the screen, avoiding enemies and obstacles and things like that.
Shouldn't it be called lift seed?
Well, no, because I guess it tumbles and falls a lot. Like, trust me, it falls a lot.
Yeah.
Ben's
used to spilling his seed.
There you go.
I knew that was coming.
That was a delayed ejaculation, if you like, from Mark there.
Better than being premature, Ben. Better than being premature.
That's fair. That's fair. That is true. I can't argue with that. So you've got to move this ball up the screen using this and the reason it's so hard, I guess, is that you're introducing this entirely different. Was that hard, Richard? Was that hard? You fucking child! You're introducing this entirely different control mechanic at the same time as the entire concept of the game, which is a challenge, and the learning curve is very steep, and you have to keep persevering and working, to fulfill the woman as much as you can in this very hard. No, I'm sorry. I was just leaning into it. But no, I think it's a really cool little game, and I do recommend people checking it out. I think if it's not on sale anymore, it was just on sale. I think it's on sale still, like third off. So worth a peek, for the low price point that it is.
I apologize for just chuckling away because then it was just I realized, Ben, you're basically talking about your balls dropping.
Yeah, that's accurate. That is. To the developer of TumbleSeed, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. But it's got a great art style as well, really nice music and everything throughout. And I'm going to play it some more, and then I'll do a written piece. But before we get into the wider discussion of talking about the console, I do want to give a shout out to the review I did of was it the first Nintendo Switch review on the site? You guys not done one?
Ironcast.
No? Ironcast, yeah.
I think that is
you haven't done one either.
Not a review. I've talked about a lot of the games, but I've not written a review for any.
So I'd already reviewed Ironcast about a year and a half ago on Xbox One when it came out on that platform, and so I didn't want to spend too much time talking about the game. Is still the game, and this is a sense I get a lot with a lot of games on Switch. Like, now this game was on the Switch, this is kind of like where it always should have been from moment one. This is the natural fit for Ironcast. It's perfect. I mean, the fact that you can take it anywhere. I mentioned review like to the anywhere you want out on the go, or in my case just to the toilet. I mean, it's this gem matching game with this roguelike elements in this awesome steampunk setting with these big mechs fighting each other, and it's fully touchscreen enabled, which is the first game I think I've played personally on the Switch that can be fully played on the touchscreen, much like you would an iOS title. And considering you're matching gems and selecting things on the screen, it fits and it works as a port absolutely perfectly. And when I first reviewed this game back, it was actually still for Brit Xbox, Richard, to give you an idea of how long ago it was. It was one of our first video reviews that I did. I scored it 8 out of 10. I'd give Ironcast on the Switch a 5 out of 5 because this is the best example of this, well, basically unique genre they've crafted for themselves. It's also so much fun to play on Switch. It's so well, it's perfect for pick up and play. You know, it's perfect for, here's a 5-minute, a 10-minute session. You can extend it if you want, but if you just want to have a quick go at a game on Switch, I find myself going back to this again and again and again, and I'm still going back to it after doing the review. I was just playing it earlier tonight. You know, rather than playing Zelda, I'm playing Ironcast because I just want to play for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You know, and it's so goddamn good on this platform. And if you haven't checked it out, because it's a hard one to convince somebody to pick up, because you look at the videos of this and you're like, well, how's that going to work? Is that going to work as a game?
It is a hard sell. I've
yeah,
played quite a lot of it on
one.
Xbox, but I started playing it. I was thinking, well, this probably isn't going to be for me, but I'll try it out. And you think, yeah, it's a match 3 game. It's not really a match 3 game.
No,
it's a turn-based game. And you think, oh, turn-based game. But the combination of those two things, it works so well.
Yeah, super compelling, because it's like you're managing the resources, and the gems you match will feed the resources, as it were. They are your fuel, your energy, your weapons. So you have to think.
It's not particularly puzzly, is it? I mean, the match 3 thing, you can match 20, 30. You can match pretty much the whole grid. It's not a problem to get your matches, is it, really?
Well, I don't know how far you get, but once you start getting late game,
I mean,
not getting what you need is a fucking problem.
It's hard to get what you need, but I mean, in terms of working out puzzle-wise, it's just the luck of the draw about what's on the board, isn't it? Sometimes, and choosing what to release rather than working out whether you can release something.
Sometimes I'll be looking at the board, like weighing up my choices for a good few minutes. Like, oh, I could do with energy for the shields and to speed up the walking, but then I won't have enough ammo to deal that critical hit I need. But then, there's an overload gem there which I could connect to the energy, but then I wouldn't get any ammo. But then I can have extra shields. So maybe but there's a link one there where I could get the repair stuff, and I could link that with the coolant, which isn't maybe what I need right now, but I will need that in the next turn. So, there's so many balance, and it's roguelike as well.
That combat strategy is way more important than you would think at first glance. Yep. It's not just a match 3 game. It's nothing like that at all. And
then there's the roguelike element to it, which I think is brilliant as well, where it's permadeath. You lose one game, that's it, you're dead. But what you get are these things called commendation marks, depending on how far you've got, how much XP you've got, and that can then give you and unlock extra abilities for your next playthrough, and then your next playthrough, and your next playthrough. Because each playthrough is limited to, I think, roughly it's like 12 rounds, because there's this big enemy mech, basically, this big enemy Ironcast marching on London, and you have to get good enough, get upgraded enough, and it's going to take you multiple playthroughs. You would never be able to do this on your first playthrough to actually defeat that mech. And that's why you can just play a quick round. So you can play for 5 minutes, or you can play for 20 minutes or an hour, and you can really get into it. And I love the world. I don't normally like steampunk stuff, but I find that it's well written. The characters are funny. There's a real sense of humor to the whole world. It's very obvious that it's a British developer. It's Ripstone published it, I believe, in Dreadbit, the developers, and it's just got a lot of charm to it. It's really cool. And like I said, it is the home of this game on the Switch. Like, it just feels like it's coming home, and it's like people should check that game out. Highly, highly, highly recommend Ironcast on the Switch, on anything. But if you've got a Switch, get this game.
How much is it on Switch? Because I've got it, but I would be tempted to get it again.
It's hard to say because I got an early code, so I can't actually see the price easily on my shop. But I think it's something like in the 10-15 area, something like that.
Yeah.
So not ridiculous. All right, guys, come on. Splatoon, Mario Kart, Zelda.
It's $12.99 in America.
Okay, so it's going to be about 10.
Well, yeah, $12.99 in the UK.
There you go.
Oh, all right, okay, cool. Thank you very much, fact finders. But yeah, Switch is amazing. Yeah.
So other than being wholly misguided on your choice of ketchup, what do you think of Splatoon?
I'm up to about level 6 or 7 now, so it's starting to open up for me. I've got a lot more weapon choices. I've got more of the different clothing options, so the different buffs. I've got a much better idea of the rhythm of the game and how the game plays and feels. It is just riotous, isn't it? I mean, it's just
to level 6 or 7. You won't have seen the other modes yet. You're still on Turf War.
I'm still Turf War. Yeah. Turf War. It's just fun. It's just unbridled fun. It's a bit weird how multiplayer works in this. Like we wanted to play together. We basically could only play 1-on-1 because of my level restrictions, which is fucking stupid. But multiplayer of Splatoon isn't really meant to be done with friends. It's meant to be done with randoms. And it's meant to be this thing where you just go into game after game after game, round after round after round, and you just sort of soak yourself in the game world. You don't really care that you're not being able to play with all your Xbox Live mates or whatever. It's not about that. It's just about the fact that combat is so much fun.
Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
20 minutes, so it's not like you've got time to talk to anybody anyway.
Nope. No, not at all. Yeah, I'm upset about your Mayo choice and the fact that you guys won by like a point on both of them.
Yeah,
I was like, that's ridiculous. How did you guys? And it was like 75% catch up.
That is Mayo, just understated, but pure win.
I've got no words. It's, yeah, so they do this thing. They just did this thing called a Splatfest, which is this seemingly arbitrary. You pick a side, and neither of the sides matter. But it's like, let's split the entire play base of this game into two, and then go to war for a weekend. And yeah, it's awesome. It's a great way of getting people to come back to the game and retaining players. Joel, have you had much more time to play Splatoon at all yet?
No, I haven't even managed to play it. At all. I've had it for God, over a week now. I just haven't had a chance. So it kind of brings on to the greatest thing about the Switch is its portability and stuff. So
yes,
mine is with me currently. I've taken it on holiday and stuff, but all I've literally been playing is Mario Kart. Last week I was up in the Lake District on holiday with my son and another family, some close friends of ours, and with their kids, we've literally just been playing Mario Kart on it. And it's just, the Switch is just an amazing little thing just to take around and play Mario Kart. I bought some extra Joy-Cons for it. We're having some 4-player fun. It's just magical. But yeah, no, I've not played Splatoon. Yeah, I was hoping that we would get to play it and we'd start playing it. But no, Mario Kart was sort of centre stage, sadly.
Yes, sadly, Splatoon is really multiplayer, isn't it?
Fine, but Splatoon kicks the shit out of Mario Kart.
Wow.
It would if you could play multiplayer on one console, Richard.
I played it on the Wii U, so I have played Splatoon, just not had a chance to on the Switch.
I'm a bit gutted that there's no, split screen Splatoon.
I've not tried it because I've got no one to play with in the house.
There isn't.
No. No, that's a bummer.
There is not. I have been immersing myself in the Switch Reddit since getting one. So I have seen many complaints about these things. Yeah, Mario Kart's great fun though. I mean, I was playing it in bed with the wife, which was brilliant. Like, never even thought she'd be interested, but she loves it. It's absolutely amazing. You guys know, I don't know if I talked about it on Bits and Bobs, but I had a fault problem with my Nintendo Switch. Basically, on the day I got it, super excited, and then by 9 o'clock that evening, my left Joy-Con completely stopped working, which was upsetting. However, it's not quite within the week turnaround. They told me support, but inside 2, I got my Joy-Con back yesterday from Nintendo Service Center, and it's perfect now, and it's all good. So that's great. I ended up having to go and buy another pair of Joy-Cons for like £80, which is kind of insane.
Anyway, though. I mean,
I was probably gonna do it anyway. Yeah, probably. I know what I'm like. But now I have the funky Splatoon 2 Joy-Cons.
So jealous
with the cool neon Joy-Cons that came with it, and it's a really good mix, and I can mix and match Joy-Cons, and why do I care? But I do. It's so funny, but I totally do. And when I see pictures on like Reddit and whatever of people with their grey Switch Joy-Cons, I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why would you have the grey one? Why? What kind of boring person are you? Yeah. It's just so funny. Look, Joel's got the Splatoon 2 ones as well, Richard. Nice.
Oh, I'm gonna have to buy some now.
You have to buy them. It's great. The kids, just can I be green? Can I be pink? Can I be red? Can I be? It's made it's like Nintendo literally took all the magic they did with the Wii for what kids see it and want to play it and stuff, and this is an amazing little gadget. That's right.
When I was like mocking you a bit for your like joy over this console, I found the joy. Found the joy, guys. Like, this is the first time with me and Nintendo since like GameCube. I had a Wii, but it didn't really count. I don't think it was a very different type of Nintendo device. And now I'm back, and Zelda is glorious. Like, holy shit, Zelda is amazing. Like, I've never felt so I've never felt such an open world to be so inviting and like a place I really want to just explore and just to delve into and pick apart all its little minutiae and learn about it. And
when it's not
it's
like Assassin's Creed, is it? Where you look at the map and think, I've got to do all of that.
No.
Right. Zelda is what's over there? Let's go and do that today.
There's a
discovery.
There's a very different visual language behind this Japanese open world to any of the Western open worlds. The fact that it doesn't put everything up in front of you as a task list, like you just said, instead it just gives you a place. You feel very much in that place. And what do you do when you're in a place that's as sumptuous and you want to find out more, you want to explore? And the game, it's quite hard early on. I found myself dying quite a lot, but I got the DLC and I've gone and got some fancy armor now, so that's helping. But I'm just riding my horse, which I got recently, and I'm just checking out the sights. And there's a tower over there. I'll do the tower thing, and there's a shrine. I'll do that. They're quite fun. They're always different. There's a different kind of challenge to basically here's some fun puzzle elements that you didn't experience before. It's just man, it's good, isn't it? It's so good. I'm trying to think.
Are you using the horses a lot? Because I ended up just sacking them off very early on.
I am at the moment. I like riding them. The animation. The game has got so many great animations.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with the horses. They're fine, but in terms of exploring, I ended up just wanting to climb everywhere and glide.
I'm really I know what you're saying. I know. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I mean, I like the walking around because there's a genteel pace to it. Like you can take everything in a bit better, can't you? And sort of plan your next. You don't get surprised by enemies so much. The other big thing is, sadly the hardware limitations of the Switch. When you're riding a horse, pop-in is more of a problem because the enemies will suddenly just go bing, and there's one in front of you. Oh shit. So like I did notice in my quest for my fancy gear from the DLC, I clearly went to some areas of the map that were much tougher than I should perhaps have gone to. And I got my way through it because it's systems. So it's like these enemies will kill me with one hit. I'm going to be smart enough to find a way to avoid that or to avoid detection, and I was able to do it. Yeah. And it's like, so that proves to you that I could probably go to the castle immediately, and if I was patient enough, I could beat the game. And it's just like, that's fascinating that a game is designed like that. I love that. That is so fucking cool and refreshing. I just wish I had more time. I'm doing other reviews on the burner, and things are about to get crazy again, guys. Just to warn you. The busy season is just around the corner. So yeah, Christ knows when I'll be able to really put the time into Zelda. But man, beautiful. Looking forward to Mario and Rabbids now as well. Kingdom Battle at the end of the month. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure whether I want it or not, but I probably do.
What are you children giggling about? Back in the class?
This is now
giggling about back in the class?
Gas chamber Mark is trying to kill me with his ass.
Mark, just let rip. That sounds like Mark. He's probably in a combination of chili and like just raw peppers today, just to fuck you up, Joel.
Mark didn't just let rip. Mark full on cocked a leg up in the air and angled it.
He used all his acting skills to take it to the next dramatic level.
That's why you're always a hit on set, obviously, Mark. Yes, that must be what it is. Your gas control. But yeah.
Carry.
So guys. Question: is there any big game I'm missing right now I should be playing on the Switch? I was considering Puyo Puyo Tetris. I was looking at a couple of other things like little stuff. Street Fighter even tempted me, but I resisted. What should I be getting? Is there anything right now I've missed out on, or am I good?
There's a Puyo Puyo Tetris demo that you should try out. I've only got the demo. I kind of want that game, but it's just expensive, isn't it, for what it is?
Feels that way, yes.
You've got Mario Kart.
Yep.
Yeah, Zelda, Splatoon. That's kind of it. I mean, they are the core games. I wouldn't bother with 1-2 Switch. I've got Bomberman. It's probably not worth it. You've got Mr. Shifty as well.
I did get Mr. Shifty, because I just really loved that developer and I love that publisher and I love that game. That game is so good.
I haven't played too much else on the Switch. I mean, what I have played is Master Blaster. I finished that recently.
Oh, yeah.
That's worth a crack through. That's got some free DLC at the moment, so you can play as Shovel Knight, which is fun.
Should I get Shovel Knight?
Have you got it already?
No.
Okay, buy Shovel Knight, definitely.
I feel like this is the right platform for Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Like, Shovel Knight always looked like a SNES game that never got released to me. And now that I have a Nintendo console, I feel like I should maybe play Shovel Knight on that.
Yeah, Shovel Knight is really good. I've gone through that game a few times, and I'm still tempted to buy it on Switch. I haven't done so yet because that would be dumb. I've already bought it twice, but so tempting. Yeah, if you haven't got it already, buy that.
Okay, yeah, I might check that out. That's a good shout. I think that might fit well.
The only other one.
That's my Nintendo love. I love Nintendo now.
Maybe Ben. Maybe the only other game that you might. It's a bit hard. Arms. Because you've got the extra Joy-Cons, and if you can persuade your wife to play it with you, the problem is it's still. I'm not quite sure it's worth its price tag. That's the only problem. Like, it's a good game, but it's just that, you know, if it comes up on a sale, I would recommend it.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. A couple of things that I've been impressed by so far. They do sales. Not on Nintendo games. No, I don't think ARMS will get reduced on the eShop, but they're doing that on a lot of the indie stuff, and there is constant stealth releases coming out on the eShop. Like every week, another half a dozen games seem to appear. So it's like, yeah, the things are picking up on that platform. It's cool to see titles appearing. They're not all great. They're not all amazing. They're not going to be like must buys, but they're filling in their library quicker than I expected.
It's getting there. A lot of the indie games are coming out, you know, but you know, it's being backfilled of a lot of old releases. Still need to see. You know, still see some real third-party support, I guess. Like next month we've got Mario Odyssey and
Mario Odyssey's October. Yeah,
is it October? Sorry. What comes out at the end of the? Is it
Mario and Rabbids?
Yeah. So we've got that coming, which obviously is a kind of. I want to say it is third-party support, but I still guess I kind of think of it as a partnership. But I want to see.
The one you were really excited for, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's like XCOM, but with Mario. And the videos and stuff from E3 just look really good. So, I
think I agree. Yeah, it does need more third-party stuff. I'm not sure how quickly we're going to get that. But on the store, I'm finding, although there is quite a lot of stuff coming out, it does mean things are getting buried as well. So I just had a quick look to see how well Shantae's doing because I was tempted to buy that again. There's one. Have a look at that as well, Ben. Shantae is fantastic, and I've already finished it on Xbox, but that is something that would look incredible on a Switch screen.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah. See, these are games that I've seen come out on Xbox, like that and Shovel Knight, and I've looked at them and gone, I don't want to sit. It doesn't feel right for me to sit in front of my TV playing this almost. Yeah. Put it on a fucking handheld, and I'm like, yeah, that makes so much more sense to me as a gaming experience. And like the Switch is just like the best handheld ever. Like fucking hands down, this thing is amazing as a handheld device.
Yeah,
and the fact that you can just
in every way, not just like not because the graphics are great on a handheld device, but just how it works. You know, proper controllers.
It's like magic.
Proper controllers. It's amazing.
It is proper.
Their ideal console. You know, someone's made it for real.
Yep. No, it genuinely is. It is genuinely super, super, super impressive. There's one me over. I think there's one more game here on the list. Joel can have the last game. Joel doesn't normally get the last game. It's normally me monologuing to death at the end of the podcast. But you played a bit of a JRPG, didn't you, Joel?
No.
No. You told me it was a JRPG, Joel. I'll admit I didn't read your review, but you did tell me it was a JRPG at one point.
That we discussed it in a podcast before where I hadn't even looked at the game yet, and you told me, I think it is a JRPG. It isn't. This is like
yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm the editor. It's fine. Shut up. The JRPG now. I'm going to change the tags on the review. JRPG. Fuck you.
You play a character called Cloud. No. So yeah, this is. Yeah, it's kind of like an action kind of turn. It's not really. It's a real-time strategy kind of actiony, real-time combat. Sorry, actiony game. it's so the most interesting thing about this game, I guess, is, and I didn't learn this until after I'd played through the PlayStation 4 version, is that there are actually 2 games simultaneously released. There's Fallen Legion: Sins of an Empire, and there's a sister game released on the PS Vita. And I'd have to look at my review. I cannot remember the second subtitle for the game, but they play the same story over the same timeline from 2 different perspectives. You play the you know, in the Sins of the Empire, you play a girl called Cecile, princess. So, and then in the sister game, you play the antagonist of the PS4 game. So you see the whole thing from 2 different perspectives, and obviously it's up to you, if you happen to have both platforms and play both games, to decide, I guess, who you think is the protagonist and the antagonist in the whole thing. Yeah, it's so, to be honest, there isn't too much to this game. It's real, you know, there's a sort of overarching story, a bit of a narrative. It tries to set up a stuff, but it's real quite like interesting thing is this real-time combat sort of system. You play this, you have this book called Grimoire, and he literally, your power comes from your ability to manifest basically heroes of the past. So he sort of explains at the start of the game, he's like, oh yes, can you remember this legendary, so trying to put it into a real world perspective, be like, oh, can you remember Achilles, the legendary guy Achilles? And he's just like, right, just imagine Achilles, and then you manifest your based on the sort of lore and the history and sort of your interpretation of all the sort of stories and things, you manifest him up, and he becomes like one of your weapons. And you can do this for 3 characters. So you have 3 characters, and you map each character to a specific button, and they become your attacks, literally. So you manifest up these fallen heroes from the past. And the game gives you 3 heroes to start with. But as you progress through the game, you kill bosses. And then when you've killed certain bosses and things, you can then, they're added to your character roster. You can manifest these back and have them fight for you as sort of one of your attacks and things. Now, combat plays out in real time, so there's a lot of intricate timing to it about, you can't just button mash your way through it. You have to watch for visual cues about the enemies when they're sort of timing their attacks. Some enemies are very fast attacking, so you need to rely on sort of pulling off the perfect block to sort of expose them for a counter attack. And other enemies are very slow, so you've got to attack before they sort of drop the hammer. Basically, you've got to get in there very quickly, and then, yeah, you've got different kind of, you've got ranged attacks, you've got fast but weak attackers, you've got strong but slow attackers, and you've just got to balance your party out and stuff. And yeah, at first I was kind of like, there isn't too much to this. But then as I sort of started getting beyond the sort of my initial button mashing and sort of trying to develop my gameplay to sort of be a bit more intelligent and stuff, it is really good. When you start to get the mastery of it, it gets very satisfying. And you sort of pull off the perfect combat pitches, and then and there are lots of other little mechanics in there. There's like a combo bar, so every successful hit you get builds up, and at certain levels on a combo bar, the next attack you do of a certain character will be their special attack instead. So there's kind of a lot of you know, you can be quite tactical and strategic with it. Yeah, the combat's really good. I found the story a bit kind of, well, you know, there is a narrative there, and it's kind of edging things along, but I think the game's very minimalist about that. It does sort of have these kind of subtle intervals of maybe a minute long where it tries to edge the story, but then it just puts you into these stages which are just like fights after fights after fights after fights. And in between stages, you can choose some buffs and things, and they can kind of affect subplots in the story and stuff. But yeah, it was overall, I actually quite enjoyed it. I found the combat, I found it like challenging to master. Once I kind of mastered it, it was quite enjoyable and fun. And then the game finishes. By the time I'm beginning to wear thin of it and get bored of it, it ended. So it didn't outstay its welcome as well, which I thought was quite good. So that's cool, Fallen Legion: Sins of an Empire. Unlike Ben, please go to the website and read my review.
I gave you publishing permission so I didn't have to fucking read them, Joel. Jesus Christ, man.
Publishing permission now.
I have.
Yes, he does. He does.
Home County's editor now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Home County's, man. It's a growing demo. It's like you've got to talk to those weirdos in those counties. I don't know anything.
How many blowjobs do you have to give to get those?
We don't talk about that.
At least not on the podcast.
It was a hard climb up the ladder. Let's put it that way.
It's always hard. I see, Richard, that I think you changed your list on me like last minute or something here. You slipped Aero on, and I always want to talk about Aero because I don't think enough people know about that fucking game. Why is Aero on your list? Do you go back to it or something?
I did, yeah. I took Master Blaster out and put Aero in because I went back to Aero this week and finished the whole thing and thought, ooh, fuck, that game needs some more praise because it's so good.
Yep.
Another that's really amazing with decent headphones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. If you want a rhythm game that's properly immersive with decent headphones, this is your game.
I think I gave it 5 stars, didn't I? I can't remember.
I can't remember what you scored it, but you loved it.
4 or 5. It's 4 or 5. I absolutely fucking adored it.
Good reason.
Yeah.
It's got for like 15 tracks, and they're all like electronic music. It's like dubstep and stuff in it, right?
I think dubstep does it a little bit of disservice. I think it's because everybody, when they think dubstep, they think drops, and it's like, yeah, there's some of that in there, but I think it's better quality in general than maybe just what people consider dubstep, like Skrillex. But yeah, there are some really great tracks, and the fact that each level is custom designed.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's not
so
just
cool.
some anodyne back into some faceless music. Every level is custom crafted to match the music in much more depth than your Guitar Heroes or rock bands, where it's kind of just a track with buttons coming down a screen. This is fully realized 3D environments where lightning goes off to the time of the music, and everything within the environments has a parallel within the soundscape as well. It's just phenomenal how well it ties it all in. But the gameplay itself is just so tactile. It's not hammering buttons or just getting the rhythm right. What you actually have to do is rotate the analog stick to match a blue line within the game runs in a tunnel, basically like Tempest or something. But you have to match this line as closely as possible, and the line represents part of the music. So if there's like a synth lead that comes in that goes up and sort of swells, then the line will go up and sort of wave about at the top or something. And having to have that level of accuracy on an analog stick, it's not something you're used to normally, and it's quite hard to get to grips with. But when you do it, fuck, it's so good, brilliant. And
so you have
a whole lot, and I'm going through it again now.
I was gonna say you're not 100% because I take it you're like moved on to the next difficulty now. Then yeah. It gets it. You think it's hard to start? That game gets fucking rocking hard nails like man crazy town, but it's awesome. Yeah. It's I love a good rhythm game, and I think that's a great rhythm game and massively overlooked. Like I don't know anybody talking about that game on.
I think that's on sale this week as well. I just noticed it on PS4. I think it's about £6. So
steal.
If you haven't got it, go get it. It's so good.
It's so fucking good. And because I'm ticking off the boxes here, I see Joel for about the I don't know, like 6th episode in a row here. It's got like Horizon Zero Dawn on his plate. Are you just putting it down every time you just boot the game up?
This like has. It's really hard to. There are two things that have gripped me about this game because I don't think it's having played Tomb Raider and other open world games, I wouldn't say it's particularly doing anything new or treading any new path but its story has completely engrossed me. Its story has completely engrossed me. I'm really the sort of side characters are a bit dull, I guess, but the main cast of this game have kind of captured me. This sort of story around this woman Aloy, her mysterious past and things. It's very science fiction, but in a kind of fantasy setting, I would say, or it's very tribal. This has really captured me. I'm really loving this. And then the second part of it that's captured me is these mechanical beasts that sort of occupy the world, and like. As I spread out further into the world, you encounter bigger, more dangerous monsters and things, and you sort of sit there. You plan your attacks. Everyone's like a miniature boss fight. You sit there, you analyze their path, you put traps down, you get ready for this massive, intense sort of combat battle and things. And it's brilliant. I don't know why. I'm just loving it. And I will keep putting it down. It looks incredible as well. Like it's certainly on my 4K TV, the PS4 Pro. It looks stunning. It's really one of the best games I've visually seen as well. So yeah, I'm kind of blown away with it. And obviously it's appearing every week because I'm slowly chipping away at it. And yeah, I just can't wait to finish it. But it's probably going to be there, on a few more podcasts yet. I cannot say I'm really enjoying this game.
It's
got
on my
DLC coming as well on the way.
It's on my pile of shame. I got really psyched for that game, and then I just didn't put enough time into it. I got to the major world and I did a bunch of stuff, and then it's like I think I must have been like this close to the bit where the story would really hook me in and pull me along. And I just didn't quite get there. And at this point, so that and Zelda.
Out of those two, Zelda is the winner.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, both of them, I don't know when I'm gonna really find the time for. I'm just game greedy, I guess, and I just like to pile them up. Fuck up! I was replaying. I'm playing through Metro Last Light again at the minute. I really want to get that done before Exodus is a little way off. I wanted to play Shadow of Mordor before the new one of that comes out. I don't think I'm gonna get a chance to do that. I picked that up like super cheap, the Game of the Year edition again recently when it was on sale for like £4 or something ridiculous. So many games. There's just no way that. Well, I think I should just quit my job. That's the only option, and play all the video games instead. What do you think, honey? Oh, that's right. She divorced me. No worries. Okay. So I think that brings us. Let me just say before I do the bring. There's been. I don't want to get into the controversy that's happened over the last couple of weeks with last week with a certain how should I say, video games journalist / YouTube personality. But let's just say people in positions of influence and power shouldn't abuse those positions for sexual reasons. It's fucked up. And can the women out there just realize that when that nice guy says, do you want to come to the bar so we can talk about your work and maybe get it published? He might not be that nice. Just be aware.
I don't know this story. You're not talking about one of us, are you?
No, I'm not talking about one of us, but there's been a lot of this recently. I had some people ask me what...
we met you.
Thanks, man. Cheers for that. So I don't want to get into specifics because there's a lot of vagaries around this right now anyway, and the guy is being investigated, and I don't want to mention names and stuff, but this stuff is going down, and I've had some people ask me to talk about it, and it's like I don't feel comfortable because I don't know enough about it, and there's more coming out all the time. He has clearly abused his position of trust, it would seem, massively in really inappropriate ways. So scumbag him, and it just gives ammo to Gamergate. So like, let's not feed that, like, because gamers should all be on the same page. Anybody that enjoys video games, man, woman, or child, we should all be working together to make this space better, not worse. Yeah?
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah.
Fair? While being incredibly vague. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing that happened this week. You guys can, I'm certain, find out about it if you want to. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you, Mark, for being here. I expected more disruption.
I've been good. You've
been gassing me for the past half hour. Like I've been suffering in silence.
I have been farting a storm. You did send me a message earlier today saying, Mark, you've got to be on your best behaviour. So I decided to keep quiet and not say too many things. I didn't make a single inappropriate joke. I was going to say some inappropriate words just to make it really hard for you for editing later.
I don't edit.
You don't editing.
We don't edit. So if I just came out with anything,
This goes out. Mark, you do realise this is going out live onto the internet?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just saying.
I'm not that much on the app. I may be a little bit behind, but I'm not that bad. There's also a big square on here.
It's about Bronze Age.
No, I've gone up to Iron Age now. Definitely up to Iron. Yeah, there's a big square that says live, which kind of took as a hint, Yeah.
Very good. Well done. I can resist. No, it's been lovely having you, mate. And maybe we can get you back for, once you get your PC sorted, you might actually play some fucking video games, Joel. Sort it out, yeah? Come on. Get it sorted.
Me?
You'll fix it.
Computer, right,
Yeah. Yeah, like I said...
he's not fixing it for me, right? There's a reason my computer's getting fixed.
It's his wife.
Yeah, my brother-in-law that I've never met is flying over like next month, and he's coming over, and he and Amy want to play Diablo 3 together. That's why my computer's getting fixed so hardcore.
You should get him on Marvel Heroes. That's basically.
I'm going to totally try to. But you know, by that point, he's going to be over in like September the 6th and Destiny 2.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm going to be spooging everywhere over that.
There's an article in Edge saying there's 86 story missions, and Destiny 1 with all the DLC only came to about 45.
I'm so excited. Like
I'm so pumped.
Excited.
I'm so
same 4 locations.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care. It's more, Richard, and there'll be loot, Richard. So much loot.
Oh, the loot grinding, the grinding for the loot, and the leveling, and the loot, and the guns, the different guns, and
just makes me think of mirror.
Sums it up for me. Sums it up for me. Yes. So thank you very much for being here, Mark. Joel, I thank you for coming in, sort of, and doing this podcast with Mark on holiday. I appreciate that. That's hardcore.
Transformers Convention Day. You know, this is.
You probably shouldn't have admitted that, like, you know, to the world. Just saying.
It's not Michael Bay Transformers. You know, it's good Transformers.
Did I ever tell you I've got? I work in a shop, as most people know, and there was a gentleman customer came in, a big Transformers fan, and he's a bit nuts, as many of them are, and he wanted to show us his Transformers tattoo, and it's the whole chest, and he pulls up his shirt to show us this Transformers tattoo, and it's Bumblebee. It's Michael Bay's Bumblebee.
He's not a fan, man.
And I was just like, well, first of all, I didn't want to see your chest, and secondly,
your tattoo.
You really got that on your body permanently? That from even I know you don't do that. I mean, and I don't even know Transformers. Like, what the fuck, man? So that's my Transformers story. Joel, do you have any appropriate tattoos? Maybe on a butt cheek. Do you have like?
I carry no tramp stamps.
What about you, Rich? Any weird tats in any weird places?
Not yet. Middle age is creeping up though.
Midlife crisis.
Some sort of crisis. Yeah, I need to get one.
You do. What would it be? Like a big Spartan helmet from Halo, like on your forehead.
Nothing like that.
Face.
It'd be something Gunstar Heroes related. Or
Gunstar
like,
Heroes. That's fucking random, man.
An EU flag or some shit like that.
See, I'm now picturing. Go back to the Master Chief. I'm imagining Master Chief's helmet tattooed onto your bell end.
Oh, that's an idea, right? That is what I'm getting. Thank you.
one for the wives.
In fact, you could get the full suit, so she got erect. She just got.
How do you do the arms?
I don't know. They're stickers. They're attachments.
Oh. Yes,
the next episode of Bxb'S Bits and Bobs, we'll explore Mark's cock with his new tattoo.
No, it's Richard's getting the tattoo, not me.
You've got to prove it's doable.
Yeah, no, we're going to do it to Richard. We're going to tattoo him.
This is what happens when you've had a few beers and you don't give a shit. So I'm just going to let you go.
Amateur tattooist Mark with a track record of 0 previous tattoos will live on air.
We'll do it the proper style with the little hammer and needle as well. No of the gun.
Samoan style, like like tribal style. Yeah, back in the day. Cool. Jesus.
No painkillers.
Okay, and on that just really fucked up, disturbing note, I'm gonna wrap this bitch up, and we'll be back. We'll be back in like maybe 2 weeks. Who knows? Could be a month. I don't know what's happening anymore. But there'll be games. There's games. There's gonna be lots of games. I'm really looking forward to talking about this game I can't talk about. So yeah, that'll be good, and lots of other things. I've been your host, Richard. I didn't really go to you, but thanks for being here today, man. Thanks for that, dude. I love you.
Anytime.
Twitters. I'm at DIYE. He's at Colonel Red. Joel and Mark don't know what Twitter is. You can find us at Facebook on Twitter. You can find us at Facebook. What did I just say? You can find us on Facebook at BXB Games. You can find us on Twitter at BXB Games. You can find us on YouTube, BXB Games. You can find us on the website. Please head over to the website, www.bxbgames.co.uk, in which I'm getting a slow hand clap for Mark while I do this. This is great. In which you can see all our reviews, written, video, and God knows what else. Maybe, I don't know, smoke signals. So that's the end of it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.